Hi, I'm Kara Malloy, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the history of the Liberty Bell. We're going to learn about where it was made, how it got to the United States, where it is today, and a little bit of history along the way. In 1751, the Pennsylvania Assembly decided they wanted something to commemorate the 50th anniversary of William Penn's 1701 Charter of Privileges. So, Isaac Norris from the Assembly wrote a letter to Robert Charles, who was a colonial agent for the province of Philadelphia in London. He was working there at the time. And in this letter, he said that the Assembly wanted to order a bell, and he gave specific instructions on what the bell should look like. It should be stamped with large letters, and it should say, by the order of the Assembly of the Province of Pennsylvania for the State House in the city of Philadelphia, 1752. Although you can't see it, I thought this was an interesting little fact. Pennsylvania was spelled with one N, and later on they adapted it, it was spelled with two N's. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Underneath that it says, proclaim liberty throughout all the land, all the inhabitants thereof. So they ordered the bell from the Whitechapel Foundry, and Thomas Lester was actually the person who made the bell. They transported the bell over by ship on the Hibernia. It arrived in Philadelphia in 1752, and then it was hung in 1753. But there's a couple of conflicting stories on how the bell actually got cracked. The first one is, in shipping, it cracked in transport. The second one that some people believe is that when they hung the bell and they struck it for the first time to hear the sound, it was cracked then. So either way, the bell had got a crack, and so they hired two Philadelphia foundrymen, John Stowe and John Pass, and they were tasked to melt down the bell and recast it. So when they did that, they actually added copper to the bell. So they received it back in a couple of weeks, they hung the bell, and then it was tested for its sound. So when they tested for the sound, they didn't like the sound of the bell. So John Pass and John Stowe took the bell back, and they broke it down, and they melted it, and they recast the bell again, and then they hung it after that. So that's the bell that they have today. Let's see. The bell, it was made out of bronze, and it weighed 2,080 pounds. And then like I said, they hung it in June of 1753. From 1757 to 1775, the bell rang for numerous occasions, but it was mainly for the lawmakers to come into session and for the public meetings. In July of 1776, a lot of people believe that the Liberty Bell was rung for the Declaration of Independence. It was on the 4th, but however, it did not ring on the 4th. It rang on the 8th because that is the day that it was actually made to the public. It was read to the public. So in 1777, the Revolution came to Philadelphia, and so they were fearful that the British would take the bell and melt it down. So they hid it in a church in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And that was the Zion Reformed Baptist Church. So then in 1778, they brought it back to Pennsylvania. And then from the 1790s to 1834, it was rang for like deaths of like the presidents and some famous people. In 1839, William Lloyd Garrison wrote an anti-slavery pamphlet, and in that pamphlet he had a poem that was titled The Liberty Bell. That is the actual first time that it was actually called the Liberty Bell. Before that, it was just called the State House Bell. Another conflicting story is actually when the bell was rang and when it cracked for the final time. Some say that it cracked when in 1835 they rang it for Chief Justice John Marshall, his death, and then some say that when they celebrated Washington's birthday in 1846 that it cracked. But regardless of how it is, it cracked, and so it wasn't used anymore. In 1855, the bell was taken from state to state. It traveled like over 10,000 miles. And then in 1915, it came back to Philadelphia where it will remain. And even though it was cracked, they would only ring it in like specific times, very limited occasions. So today, the Liberty Bell is in the Liberty Bell Center, which was built in October of 2003. So what we've learned is where it was made, how it got here, some little interesting facts about it, the cracks, and some conflicting stories about it, sorry. I enjoyed researching this topic. I hope that you've learned something interesting about the Liberty Bell, because I know I did. And then you just have to video it in.